Hey everyone, I'm Steve, and I'm here in the shop at the Woodturning store. And in this video, this is the next part of a series that we've done on how to turn a bowl using Hurricane Carbide tools. So if we look down at the piece here, you can see we did this, I think the first part of this video was about 2 weeks ago, and the second part was a week ago. So I mentioned in the last video that we've had some cracking here, and it's pretty typical. You can see where the pith is, and we have the pith is down over here. We have some radial cracking in here. I probably wouldn't keep this if I were making this piece as a keeper, but we've started this video and we're going to continue with it for the purposes of explaining the process. And what I've done here is I have filled this crack with some CA glue. I haven't sprayed it or tried to hide the glue in any way. Again, it's not what I would normally do, but I'm trying to push through. If I feel at any point in time that the wall is getting thin or it's dangerous, we'll stop the video. One thing, again, if I were doing this normally, we would have finished this all in one day, most likely, but this has sat here, so this piece has gotten a little bit out of round. I'm going to turn the lathe speed on at a slow speed, and you can see from the above camera here, right in here, let's see, you know that we've picked up some wobble, and that's because the piece has dried in the last week or two. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take my Hurricane finishing tool, Carbide finishing tool, and we'll take a quick skim cut across here, true this up, and that will probably help get rid of some of these glue marks as well. So let's get started on that. I'll turn the lathe speed up. It's about 900 RPM or so. Really light cut. Lathe speed is kind of slow. I'm going to speed it up here, so I'll do a little bit more cutting and less getting pushed by the spinning piece. The preferred direction for the best finish is from the smaller diameter to the larger diameter on a face frame bowl. Let's see what we have. Okay, so we still have that crack. It is full of CA glue, so I'm going to push through. All right, this needs to be sanded. I'm not going to do that now. So that's what we have. I'm going to go back here and get my detail tool. We went through this in the last video, and I'm just going to clean up this surface here. Again, we want this surface here to be perfectly perpendicular to the axis of the lathe, so we get the best possible contact with the face of the dovetail jaws. I also have a little bit of wobble in here, right in here. I checked my chuck jaws and I don't have much material that I can remove, so I'm going to leave that for now. All right, so here is my piece, and we're now going to take it off the lathe, take the faceplate off, remount it onto our Axminster dovetail jaws. In one of the earlier videos, I showed you how I use this Makita impact gun with a square head drive to put these really nice stainless steel screws into the piece. Now we're going to do that in reverse and get these out. Okay, so we've gotten the faceplate off of the blank, and we're ready to mount the bowl blank into the Axminster dovetail chuck jaws. So I will put on my Axminster Evolution SK100 chuck onto the lathe here. I have 100mm dovetail jaws. Open this up just a little bit, close down. Probably could have made the tenon just a little bit bigger. I'm going to just apply pressure so I get nice contact between the face of the jaw here and the bottom of the bowl. Tighten up. These Axminster chucks have 3 bevel gears inside, 1, 2, 3, to give you a grip around the perimeter of the bowl at 120 degrees. The tools that I'll be using to hollow out the bowl are the Hurricane Carbide roughing tool and the finishing tool. Now, carbide tools, when I'm hollowing here on the inside, they're going to be putting a lot of force onto the wood. So I don't always do this, but for this video, what we're going to do is we're going to drill a pilot hole to just about the depth that we want. I have a Hurricane M42 Cobalt drill bit here, 27/64. It doesn't matter. I'm going to just sight down from the top here about where I want to be. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect, and I'll just put a little piece of blue tape on here, which is going to mark the depth of my hole. Pop the drill bit into my chuck. Turn on the lathe speed, and we'll keep this relatively slow. We're at about, let's see, we're at about 600 RPM. I'm holding on to the chuck. We can turn the speed up a little bit more. You can see a little bit of wobble in the drill bit, and that's because I didn't pay particular attention to aligning the headstock and tailstock. So even on this American Beauty, you can get a millimeter or 2 of alignment differential, and that's going to cause the drill bit to bounce around a little bit. I'll show in another video. If you're really concerned about that, which is important on big Forstner bits and things like that, how to align the headstock and the tailstock perfectly. Okay, so there we go. Let's get this out of the way. So that's what we have. We've drilled a pilot hole in here to about the depth that I want, and that's because, again, of a few things, but mainly in the center hole here, at the center of your spinning piece, you have no velocity whatsoever. So it's difficult to use any tool, particularly a carbide tool, down in that area and get a good cut. So that's why I did that. Now what I'll do is I'll start off with the roughing tool, and I'll just come across, checking my height. I'm about at center, maybe I want to be up just a hair. We want to be at center or even a tiny bit higher than center, very, very tiny, never below center when using a scraper. Okay, now again, here's our grain pattern. And remember, we talked about grain coming in this way, and we always want to cut side grain. The temptation might be to take this tool here and come across, but what's happening there is you come around, you're coming into end grain. So you want to resist the temptation to come in this way and come in this way. Let's get started with that. I'll turn my speed up to About 1,000. Bring the speed control over on this side of the lathe. And like we talked about before, I'm only using about half the cutter at any time. Get some speed higher. I can even turn the tool just a tiny bit. So now I'm not going in flat, I'm going in with the point. What you'll notice is that there's a big difference in the force that you feel if you're coming in straight or coming in at just a bit of an angle. I have room here. Come straight in. So let's stop the lathe there and let's talk about what I was doing. You saw me come in here. I turned just a few degrees this way, so I'm leading in with the point. Again, a much more efficient cut than coming straight in. And you saw me come in this way, which is a little bit of an angle. And then when I got to the point where I had full contact with that surface, I stopped. I'm going to come back out here, do the same thing. Coming in with the point, never using more than about half of the surface, front surface of the carbide cutter. And I want to show you again how you'll see that my forearm is supporting the tool handle here. So even though I'm starting to get some overhang over the tool rest, I'm never at a risk of this getting out of control. Now at this point I'm about 2.5 inches over the tool rest, so I'll stop and I'll turn my tool rest. Again, taking a look in here, you see I have a very typical tear out at the end grain parts. That's what will happen with carbide tools. But it's fine, because we will be able to clean that up in just a little bit. I have about 1/2 inch of wall thickness here. You might be surprised that I'm still using the roughing tool. But the point of the roughing tool is more efficient than the round tool, so I'm just going to hold on with it for a while. Let's see what we have. Okay, so you see I've hit the bottom of the drill hole. You have to be careful as well when you're coming in here, particularly if you're straight. You don't want this side of the tool to get past center. I'm about ready now to switch over to the finishing tool. Super light cuts. Let's take a look. So I use the finishing tool, starting to get a curve in here, using my fingers as a thickness gauge. Not bad. Looking for that crack that I've been worried about. So the crack is up here and it has not come through. So that's good. Need a little bit of shaping up here. The preferred direction would be to come in on a face grain bowl from the largest diameter into the smallest diameter, particularly if I was using traditional tools. Here again, carbide tools are scrapers, so as long as I'm taking a light cut, I can go both ways. As we get the wall thinner and thinner, you're going to feel and hear some flex. There it is. That sound that you hear is the bowl flexing. When I get to the center, I'll just go below center and up. Let me show you that. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you may have heard that chatter. I don't know if you could see it. Not really easy to see. But right in here, exactly when you heard that chatter, I have some tool marks and some ridges here. We're probably the best that we can do at this point, because the bowl is already starting to flex, is to take that out with sandpaper. You'll notice when I get to the center of the bowl, everybody knows that we have lower and lower speed as you get to the center. So I went down and came up to the center. Went below center and then came up. I'm going to lower my tool rest just a little bit. That puts me right at center. Move my tool rest in just a little bit. Check for clearance all the way around, and we'll take another cut. Again, I said we have that flex here. We're starting to get some tool marks. Once you get those tool marks and the bowl is flexing, it's really hard to get them out without sandpaper. Try my best to make a super light cut. Below, center, and up to get that nib. Okay, so there we have it. Pretty good finish. Once again, you have that tear out on the end grain here and the tear out on the end grain here. We'll have to sand that out. Some tool marks, that's just the nature of things. I'll clean up the top surface here. Nice and light, because again, you have some flex here. I'm sure you've heard of people losing the entire bowl right here. Okay, just clean that up. All right, so that completes the next step, which is we have an outside shape, we have an inside shape, we need to sand it. What we'll do next is we will remove this, flip this around, get it on cold jaws, and make this shape a little more pleasant and into a foot. Okay, so that's how you turn the inside of a bowl using Carbide tools. I hope that was helpful. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. It really helps us a lot. Thanks again for watching.